Before we dig in, a quick thank you to the sponsors ready to grow with the Soil Sisters. Fed and Happy is the official nutrient provider for the Soil Sisters projects because we believe in the Fed and Happy philosophy that if the worms won't eat it, neither will we. And Tejas Tonic is the official beverage of the Texas Soil Sisters. We especially love that the hemp for Tejas Tonic is organically farmed in the Texas Hill Country, with farms in both Dripping Springs and Lukenbach, Texas. The Soil Sisters podcast is powered by B&P Electric. Whether you're building, remodeling, installing low-voltage landscape lighting, or in need of an inspection, B&P is your Central Texas electrical contractor. Find links to our sponsors in the podcast show notes or head over to txsoilsisters.co. You're listening to the Soil Sisters podcast, where we dig in on family farming and ranching, regenerative agriculture, healthy living, and planting seeds in our community. We invite you to listen, subscribe, and grow with the Soil Sisters. I'm Joanna Newting, joined by my blood, soul, and soil sister, Crystal. Welcome to the show.
Hello, sister.
Hello, sis. We have some exciting visitors in the studio with us today.
I agree. I'm super excited. We have guests with us today. We have been blowing and going. I have for 4 days, and I'm worn out.
Yes, she was worn out, and it was either me doing a soliloquy or having Ethan Peters and Angela Bartys join us today. They are friends of the Soil Sisters, business owners in Lockhart, and also educators. And we're excited to catch up today and talk about holistic education, why homeschool our kids, farm to school, a lot of the stuff that we touched on at the Southern Family Farms and Food Systems Conference over the last couple of days.
Yes, it was very exciting. It was so fun to spend time with people of like mind that have similar goals and dreams and are looking to make the world a better place by the work that they're doing. And that means everything. So it really was powerful to be there with that group of people and to hear some really great advice and practical things that we needed to know to do the things we need to know. I'm excited to share with you guys some of the stuff that we learned. Angela and Ethan, welcome. We're so happy you're here.
Thank you. We are so happy to be here. We just love y'all and love our relationship conversations we already have had. And so this is just an extension of something we're so familiar with. And this topic is near and dear to our hearts and soul and mission and calling. So thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you. We're excited.
Yay.
All right. So I would like to start out by just talking a little bit about your background, you know, here in Lockhart, what you do in the community, your role as an educator, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I can start within Lockhart. I've been working in Lockhart now for 5 years as a principal. And that's, of course, a long road to get to that point. You know, you don't just jump into being a principal. You got to be a teacher and all these things first. I was a tutor, was a teacher, was an instructional coach, was an assistant principal, now principal. So it's, like 16 years within public education alone, not even to mention what I did before that with kids and education. So I run basically 2 campuses. One of them is a small alternative campus within the district. It's essentially a school of choice. So kids can choose to go to that school when they want a different way of learning, when a large comprehensive high school isn't necessarily working for them. And so a lot of reasons why kids choose that. It could be falling behind on credits. There's a lot of reasons why that happens. Life, struggle, trauma, children. There's a lot of reasons, and it's all valid. And we try to basically create a safe space for them, not in a coddling kind of a way, but just in a way that we understand, we see you, and we see the best in you and all of your potential. And we're going to kind of like open that up for you.
I love that. And I want to dive deeper into what you're doing at Pride, but what is the second campus?
The second campus is called LDMC, which stands for Lockhart Discipline Management Center. And that is a discipline campus. And like the state. They're called Disciplined Alternative Education Programs, DAEPs. And it's essentially where you go when you get kicked out of school for a small amount of time for violating the student code of conduct, essentially. Usually that's a vape pen.
Oh, wow. Of course.
Or fighting or, any other kind of things that we do as kids.
Yeah.
I grew up in New York State. We didn't have that kind of program. I just had after school detention a lot. So I get it.
Well, I think you're the perfect person to take care of that and to be there for those kids and to be a strong and steady place for them to learn some life lessons, hopefully before they get harder than detention.
Right. So whenever I first moved to Lockhart, it was right when y'all were starting to create the community, or not community garden, the student garden at Pride High School. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about that. I know you grew up on a farm.
I grew up in rural New York State, in a town more rural than Lockhart, even 10 years ago. And Amish were all around us. And my father raised us in that way, where we grew everything that we ate: vegetables, fruit, trees, chickens,
Wow.
hunting,
Good for him.
fishing.
Way to go. Good for y'all.
It was awesome. And I've basically been on a mission to recreate that, not just for myself, but now for our son, Phoenix. And as we continue to grow that, it's like we need to create this for as many kids as possible.
Yes.
Because we really have a nature deficit problem.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I really had the idea first of just connecting kids to nature in a way that makes sense in a public school. I would love to take them out into the woods. There's steps to those things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I
Somebody
thought,
told me they were going to take me out in the woods when I was a little kid. That wasn't a good thing.
yeah, that can be taken a little out of context. Come with me. I'm going to take you to the woods. So there was a space there was actually already a bunch of raised beds there that another guy was working on. And most of that land was, the ground was hard as concrete, as Texas gets, very compacted soil, raised beds, all of this. And we transformed that place into a permaculture food forest in about a year and a half with the help of Austin Burge. I could not have done that without his help.
Way to go,
so
Austin.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I connected with Taylor and Austin through that. We kind of did this one week called Zen Week when we came back from Christmas break. And I just invited in like all kinds of different community business people to come in and talk to the kids about all kinds of things. And food was one of them. So we started that project, and I'll be honest, right now that garden is very overgrown and we need to do a lot of work. It's going to give the kids more ownership over it. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Wonderful.
It was planned, I promise. So a lot of different things growing in there. We got peach trees, fig trees, elderberry, blackberry, banana, and a lot of medicinals like borage, mullein, calendula, comfrey, a lot of different things, mint, a lot of herbs. And we just continued to evolve that.
Well, what's been the reaction of the kids? Does everybody have to participate? Is this an elective?
Yeah, it's essentially enrichment. So it's not a class that they would be scheduled to, and it's not anything that they're forced to do. We essentially, and our kids change so often, it tends to be more of almost like a student club that happens within school hours. So kids volunteer to do it, and most of them have no idea what any of these things are. Yeah. The kids had no idea what a fig was.
Wow.
They didn't know how a blackberry grew.
Yeah.
Or how the whole system really works. And there's been some kids that have really participated along the way that I've seen such transformation in. We had one student who just graduated back in January, and his whole graduation speech was a metaphor of his growth synonymously with the garden.
I love it.
It was beautiful. Yeah.
As we all do, if we take any time to be in nature and certainly to nurture a living plant.
That's one of the things that I love about it is we can talk about food and biology and the plants and the fruit and just the obvious things on the surface of a garden. And it's also what I love about it is you get to be out in the sun. You get to get your hands dirty. The instant gratification is not there. And you learn all of these lessons along the way, but I don't have to talk about that
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
You
an
know,
experience.
it's not like
Exactly.
and that's the kind of education and learning that I love the most is when you're learning lessons, not because I'm drafting out this like obvious lesson plan for you
Exactly.
and telling you what the lesson is.
Mm-hmm.
The best lessons come when we just work through a particular situation and you realize your own lesson.
Yes.
You know,
I love that. That's what Zumba is for me. It's working out without working out. I'm just dancing and having a great time. And then all of a sudden, I've really done something. So thank you, Noelia.
So, one question I have, just based on what we learned yesterday in a farm to school class, is what are y'all doing with the food? Are y'all serving it to the kids in the lunchroom? Are they able to take it home with them to their family and talk to them about what they've grown? How's that working?
yeah, we haven't gotten to a big enough yield yet for it to be incorporated into the school cafeteria. Most of that is also due to like child nutrition laws and everything. And there's a lot of red tape to go through that. And I'm having conversations with the director of nutrition to figure out how to do that. So that isn't in the plan. And that was always my intention to begin with. So far, the kids basically just take food home that we harvest.
Wonderful.
I love that.
And usually we'll have like a variety of recipe cards that they can choose from to take that food home, prepare it, make it, and then they'll like take pictures of it and like share it with us for the next day. And it's been also a family thing.
So, Angela, did you make those recipe cards?
Did I? No, I didn't.
Wow, that
Could have.
surprises me.
I did do a little cooking class with the kids. That was really awesome. I love that. Did y'all go to the Manor meeting, the meeting in Manor on the farm to school? Is that
No.
what it was? It was something else?
Well,
No,
so
that was
this was at
today.
That
the,
was today. Okay.
okay.
I
yeah.
couldn't do one more day. I was
Oh,
done.
I feel you. I was just so curious. Something came up on my feed that was about the farm to school, learning about how to get farmers connected with schools. And I just was like, seeing this conversation. I know it's not new. You know, people have been thinking about this and how to do this and change public schools food.
Exactly.
So that was just really cool to see. I'm curious what.
Well, and so we brought a workbook back that is everything you need to know about getting farm fresh food in schools. And so we will pass that along to you.
Awesome.
But I was shocked to learn that only $1.71 is spent on food for lunch. That's what's budgeted. And then $1.22 is spent on food for breakfast in our schools. So the average school lunch cost per meal per kid per day. So the average school lunch cost is $3.81. 45% of that goes to the food, 45% goes to the labor, and 10% goes to everything else they need to make that kitchen function.
So we're talking cents for this food.
Yes.
So what kind of food are we serving?
Exactly.
And not that it brings up such an interesting point though, because why now more than ever is organic, the least processed food available, the most farm to table, the most expensive right now.
Exactly.
It's not, I mean, if we're buying straight from the farm, there's ways to get it not overpriced. I
Yes.
get that. But to the masses, it's not
Absolutely.
available.
It's intentional.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Well, and I did see that 40% of the food coming into schools is locally sourced foods. And there are ways for local farmers to get involved, but they're planning these menus almost a year out. And so it really is the timing of how you can get in and get with them. They did, this one expert that was talking said that, you know, knowing that like October is farm to school month. That's a real thing, October, farm to school month. And then April is Texas fruit and vegetables month. And so during those times, you could just show up and say, hey, I hear that it's this, and I have this food that I would like to share with you at the school. And they can make a purchase, a direct purchase if it's less than $10,000.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have a license. It could be like Crystal and Dion having an overflow of cucumbers in their garden. They could sell that food to the school without having a farm number.
Yeah.
Wow. how do we know these things?
We're learning.
I mean, thank you guys for doing the work to find this stuff out, because a lot of people dream of this. You know, it's easy to go, God, wouldn't it be so cool if this program existed or this could happen? And then it is, but no,
exactly.
How many, small percent knows about it. So
well, and there was something that the Texas Department of Agriculture created, and a grant program that school districts could apply for and get funding to get organic local food. And so this morning went to the website, went down the rabbit hole, clicked all the links, and Lockhart isn't one of the school districts that's on that list. But now that we know it exists,
we'll get on the list.
We'll make sure that we get it on the
principal.
list.
Yeah, I mean, those are beautiful conversations to start having with, the people who run those departments and those programs, to director of nutrition, director of operations, that kind of thing.
And we'd be happy to tag team that with you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now that we've kind of framed all of this, I want to talk about farm school.
Yay.
So I saw y'all the other day and I'm like, okay, is this farm school going to happen this fall? Is it going to be another year? And it sounds like y'all are going to be easing into a co-op program. And so would you tell of all of our friends about that?
Yeah, sure. This fall, starting in September, actually, we are going to ease into it because we have some pretty big plans that I'm happy to talk about as well. We'll be doing basically a homeschool co-op 2 days a week. And one of those days will be a farm day. And one of those days will be basically at our shop. And that'll kind of include different medicine making and some intellectual pursuits as well. And also gardening and that kind of thing. Farm day will be at Gardeners of Eden. And I mean, full on working with the guys. They had a pretty intense weekend, with an animal, for example, that one was, not looking too healthy. So, they had to, put it down, harvest it. And the kids were there, they're kids. And just, those are some of the deepest lessons. And I'm really excited to have other kids, really experience that.
Right. To understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, those are the lessons that you just get without it being, I'm going to tell you what the lesson is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what I want you to learn.
Exactly.
So we're super excited for that. And we're going to start small. I mean, part of that is because of bandwidth, and part of that is because of interest, homeschool, trying to bring up. There's a lot of homeschool families in this area, and they're already doing a lot of great things with their kids, and being able to provide some more community, more kids interacting with each other, and also with these resources and opportunities that you normally wouldn't have just being at home. And that's going to kind of help build the community as well to what we're going to be doing next year.
When we were kids, we were in a small town. Nobody was homeschooled. We went to an excellent school, but it's been this stigma around homeschooling, it was, these poor sheltered kids and it's a bad thing. And now we look at our school system and it's get them out, teach them at home. So can you talk a little bit about just what defines holistic education and how that's different than the education kids get in a regular public school?
I think holistic education is something that a lot of school districts talk about and don't actually fully incorporate because of a lot of different reasons that I don't think we really have time to get into. But
exactly,
really at its heart, holistic education is about, the whole child, right? Intellectually, physically, truly physically, creatively, spiritually, socially, and emotionally. And I think the two biggest things that really bothers me that I don't see is the spiritual side and the physical side. I mean, even when I was a kid, PE, we just played dodgeball.
Yeah.
Or we did mat ball, which is essentially kickball indoors. We're missing out on a lot of what we could really be teaching kids about health, about what that really means. It comes from a lot of different models and ideas. So in a way, it's not necessarily creating anything new per se. I love what Waldorf does. I love the foundational principles of Rudolf Steiner. I love the foundational principles of Montessori, and holistic education. I love coyote mentoring, which is a bit of a lesser known idea, but it's a framework based off of Wilderness Awareness School up in Washington and John Yun, Tom Brown. These are like OG survival guys.
Nice.
And coyote mentoring really stems from indigenous practices of like Native Americans and nomadic tribes and how they would teach their kids in a community. So I love the idea of bringing all of those ideas together and it not being just that either. You know, there's a lot of different ideas that are constantly evolving that we can bring into it. So I think that's also a big piece of it, is not getting too boxed in to any particular one set of values and principles to a certain extent. The things that I really hold dear is the things that don't ever really change, like honesty, integrity, courage, bravery. Those things don't ever change.
Yes.
If we can operate with that and with nature and letting nature be our guide, I mean, sky's the limit, really.
And it's interesting that you say that, because I have had conversations with my friends about my littles and talking about the importance of teaching children at a young age what values are and how to discover their own. That and meditation and contemplation, these things that serve us our entire life, they build the foundation of who we will become. And the majority of kids aren't even faced with those questions until maybe they get to college and go to a philosophy class or some sort of psychology class.
You're so right, Joanna. And there's this great book called The Secret Teachings of Plants. And the whole idea is around how we have, not everyone, obviously, but as a society, a culture, a human species, we've lost the ability to think, and I'm using quotes, with our hearts.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in the fluffy, follow your heart and it's your heart. It's like, heart equates to love, we think. And it's a vortex of energy. Our heart is actually the most amplified, magnetic, energetic, electrically charged part of our bodies and is in constant communication and relationship with our environment. And we've numbed that through moving everything up to our brain and making everything cerebral, intellectual. How do you think? And that really, started to happen, you could say, with the Greeks, with really bringing logic and reason into our studies, and which has a beautiful place in our existence. It accelerated a lot of our progress, technology. A lot of things accelerated after that was introduced into our psychology and our philosophical, conversations. And it departed us from our connection with nature, our ability to trust the resonance we have, to trust our intuition, our guide with our heart. So getting these children who already know this, it's innate, it's in them from a young age, fostering that, allowing them to connect with nature, each other, trusting their intuition on a really deep level, allowing their unique magic and their unique proclivities and interests and creative energy to just unfold, and not trying to put them in a box, make them think a certain way, but allowing them to learn how to question things and be curious and find the answers on their own. Yeah. And you guide them. Yeah. You guide because they're still children. You don't want them to get too close to the edge. I don't want my child to fall off the mountain and go, well, he'll learn. I mean, maybe he'll die, but he's going to learn. It's like, no, I don't want, we're still guiding. We're not just trying to raise. I like the idea of feral children. Yes. And there's some values there too, right? And some boundaries that are needed. So a lot of this holistic education and connection to nature is that reconnection to themselves from a very young age.
Yeah. And the idea of not boxing them in, because, in public school, the kids that are super hyper, they have a lot of energy. They can't sit still. They don't get to go outside and learn while moving. They get in trouble and put in the corner, or
they're labeled the problem child.
Yes, I know you want to speak to that, but I want to say it's difficult because when we look at public education, what's the word that sticks out is public. It's free. It's for people. There's how many people are there? Yeah. Kids. There's millions of kids that need a place to go for care, for some type of stability, food.
Structure.
Yeah. Food, structure, education. There's more public schools than there are alternative schools.
Right.
And so that means there's more kids that need that. So there still is a lot of benefit in public school. And unfortunately, the systems that have to go in place when you're working with so many people and so much diversity that you almost have to become this mono system of like, this is how it has to work. So there's not a lot of room unless you're one of these great public schools that has this incredible program, that has a place for the kids that need the extra attention. There isn't a lot of room for that, for them to be fostered. Like, let's get outside. Let's help. Okay. We're not going to label you and pathologize your issue and give you medication. We're going to give you a creative outlet.
Help you develop your focus.
Right.
And your
redirect
interest.
that energy.
Yeah.
It's like recess, right? Kids get to go outside at recess. Whenever they go outside, it's like unstructured chaos and play. It's not ever used to be a teaching tool. And I shouldn't say never, ever. More cases than not, right? So but everything you just said is absolutely beautiful, Angela.
Oh, y'all are so sweet. Okay, so your homeschool co-op, what are y'all calling it? What's
School of Life?
Yeah, of course. I love
like it.
I like it a lot.
Yes.
So let's explore the School of Life. We know what your vision of how it's going to start, but the big vision where you want it to go.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't remember when it was. It was sometime last year, and I was meditating, praying, whatever, and just trying to find the clear path. I don't know however clear it really is, but it's just this lightning bolt of like, you need to open your own school. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's like, and at the same time, it was like the most obvious thing, right?
Yeah.
I love what I've been able to do at Pride, and I feel like I've found the walls, so to speak. And I know there's a lot more that I can do, but I also feel like we're trying to steer the Titanic with a canoe oar.
Yeah.
And I believe that we can, instead of focusing on and being bogged down by resistance and things that we cannot change or the things that we are fearful of, I don't choose to put my energy towards those things. I don't choose to put my energy towards the fear of technology and AI and politics and all this craziness that's happening in the world, right? I would rather put my energy towards just creating something new.
Yes.
And not trying to change the system from within. It is generations of pursuit. So our goal is we've linked up with a network that has basically already started this mission, and that I align and resonate with deeply. And it's called Apogee, founded by Matt Boudreau and Tim Kennedy, which may or may not be figures that we know. Matt Boudreau, for example, was also a public school administrator, and he kind of saw the same things and was like, yeah, we just need to create this new way of doing it, a new way of learning, a new way of being. And they're not really schools. They're really just family education centers is the idea. Because yes, we will start with elementary ages, and it will also include workshops for parents, for men and women.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
Because it's a full circle thing. It's like one thing to focus on kids. It's also about focusing on families.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because when they leave, they're going home, and
Yes.
we need to make sure they're not the healthiest person in the house.
So like, it will be a full, Monday through Friday kind of a deal. It's, some of like the structure might look like a traditional school system. And there's a lot of things we want to do with that, as far as there's the physical aspect, like movement. And that could look like a lot of different things: jujitsu, meditation, lifting weights, all kinds of different things to like really bring in physical activity. The food programs, working with nature, making medicine, everything that we do already as these spiritual practices and just ways to keep ourselves healthy. We're going to be teaching these things to kids.
Yes.
So this Apogee program, when did those guys start that? How long has that idea been around?
Yeah, I think about 4 years.
Okay.
And they just started doing what's called an affiliate program.
Nice.
which allows you to partner with them. And it's specifically not a franchise. So it's still very much, it's your own business, essentially. It is still very much an entrepreneurial pursuit. We just have a network of folks that are all in agreement. And one of the kind of like the mottos is like, you pretend we don't exist as a support, and we'll pretend that you can't exist without us. Really, it's all about sovereignty and freedom.
Yeah.
And the idea is that we refuse to have any connection to the government, whether that's the federal government or the state governments, because we don't want to have anything to do with state testing.
Yeah.
I don't want to rely on you for funding.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to tell me what I have to do and how I'm supposed to teach kids. So it's full sovereignty and full freedom for us, and also for our families and for our communities, because every community is different. Whether your school is in Lockhart, whether it's in Dallas, whether it's in Hawaii, New Zealand, United Kingdom, they got campuses all over the world. And every campus is its own unique thing, because that community and those people who are running it are their own unique people.
Yes.
Right. So you can look at the core values of Apogee and what they're trying to do there. In my opinion, idea and intention and core goal is to give people the freedom to create your own school and education, not to say, this is what we're doing. Here's the curriculum. This is how we believe. This is how we think politically. It's like, no, it is designed to give you some structure in the sense of support and allow you to truly create an environment and a community that you believe in and that we believe in as individuals, as parents, and then joining with other parents and building this for our children. And that feels really good because, like Ethan was mentioning, there's a lot of requirements that happen in public schools, testing. And I know we've all been there, and it's going to feel great to not have that.
Yeah. I love it. I always say you can't win the game from in the game. You have to transcend the game.
Yes.
So you are transcending that and creating the knowledge and the wisdom in your children and the community's children that that rings true with you, with the integrity and the honor and the bravery and the courage. Like this is how we raise our children. So thank y'all so much. Wow.
It's a gift to even be in this position, to be able to even do this. It feels like it fell in our lap in a strange way, and we can't say no. Like and having a child changes everything as well. We felt this way before. When we first met, I wanted to start a culinary herbal healing school program for kids, and he wanted to start this nature therapy school. So our missions were just deeply aligned, and they've evolved and kind of shifted, and now here we are. We kind of come full circle, and it's so much.
So you're going to do both of it.
Yeah, it's all exactly. It's all going to be a part of it, which is incredible, while still including the holistic learning. Also involves like a lot of academics, but not forced down your throat, and not how we have been taught. It's a lot more project based, bringing in, instead of just American history or just world history. I mean, we're talking ancient history, really expanding what's out there, what information is out there, and biogeometry and different healing arts, and really being student led in the sense that there's projects that are structured. Yes, themes that everyone's involved in. But if you're on, sometimes in school, you can draw a number. Your job is this, your job is this, and your job is this because you're sitting in this seat. Well, what if this child over here is just really good at public speaking and really wants to do that, and this child is really good at figuring out math? It's allowing them to find their place in it. So everyone's working together cohesively, and their kind of skills and interests are just getting cultivated.
Yeah. I love that. That was being at the Southern Family Farms and Food Systems Conference. Everybody is focused on what they're doing, and it is beautiful because you're doing that. Oh, thank goodness. We're over here doing this, and everybody's sharing with everyone else. Like, this is what I tried. That didn't work out so well. This is what I've found. And here's some support. And no, like, I went through a lot of stuff, but here's the steps that I found that are easiest. And we all get to share because we're having our own experience. We have our own wisdom. We are learning and then able to distill down in a way that somebody else would maybe not have ever arrived, because they are not who you are, and they have different interests. So
yes, that authentic kind of self is being put in a box or sculpted or forced to do something that just, sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need a little bit of nudging or discomfort. I mean, a lot of times, let's be honest. We need discomfort for growth. We know this. But something Ethan said about steering the Titanic with an oar. And that is a great analogy for big systems that are set in place, that when we're trying to make changes and we want to go into the government and change this, and we see these issues that we're like, gosh, what can we do about them? And we're going into this massive embedded system machine. And we're like, maybe I can be a little virus in this machine and cause some, shake it up. And there's people that are for that and they have a calling for that. And I'm so thankful for those people, because that is a fierce calling to get in there. Another way to do it is to step away, step outside of it, create something new, but also keep the bridge open. That's something that's really important to us, is not turning our back on everyone that's left in the system because they have no choice.
Absolutely.
And we're very aware that having the luxury, gift, whatever you want to call it, to be in this space, to do this and be surrounded by people that also want to support it and provide this for their children. There's a lot of people that would love to do this and can't. For financial reasons, for scheduling reasons, all of that. So we are wanting to be very conscious of, how do we keep that bridge open? How do we make sure that this isn't just, okay, we're going to go over here and close the door and you can only come in if you have all of these things. Now, we want you to align, of course, with the values and the dreams of all, definitely. It's not about that. But we're working really hard to make sure that this is accessible to more people, that we can maybe work with the public school systems, that we can create programs, so.
And we absolutely are.
Yes.
Like that is, we have to allow ourselves to be able to see that coming to fruition.
One thing that I talk about is people getting paid to be themselves. If we all were doing what we were meant to be doing in the world, it would function much differently. It would be a lot happier, peaceful place. And, this idea of school of life, people are going to learn that before I did at 36 years old, when I quit my job and gave away my things and moved off to Italy to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up.
So, this has been a really at the heart of a lot of it, is how much of my life I've spent deprogramming and unlearning things and trying to break and becoming aware of this system, and how much of my own thinking has not really been my own. And it's just been like uploaded into my brain and heart at somewhere down the line. And I'm like, how do we create a space and opportunities where kids don't have to be deprogrammed.
Exactly.
And spend a third of their life unlearning everything that has been shoved down their throats. And something that Angela was talking about with like the secret teachings of plants and really that knowing, that innate knowing. When we learn things, it always goes into our minds first, and we get confused and we don't understand it. And it takes a long time for those lessons to be embodied and to really be integrated, for them to be a part of what we do. And that's also true for intellectual pursuits, right?
Yeah.
And kids are born knowing how to learn. We don't have to teach kids how to learn.
Exactly.
We're already designed. We're learning machines.
Yeah.
And what we so often do, though, is give kids a lesson, and then we give them a test, and then make sure that that's how you learn. And life is the complete opposite. Like school and life are not playing the same game. They operate very, very differently. And we keep pretending that we're preparing kids for life.
Yeah. It's nothing.
By not playing the same game.
It's not at all.
It's like practicing soccer and then going to play basketball.
That 100%. That's an excellent way to put that.
Life gives you a test, and then you get the lesson, and we can create that. It's already just how life works, and if we just allow that space to breathe, I think kids can really get that. And a lot of that learning can start in the heart.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
And then work its way up to like, oh yeah, okay. And that's what I mean by we get the lessons before we are even consciously aware of it.
Yeah.
It's already embedded and integrated within us.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, takes a lot of planning on our part, because we have to even understand where our programming is within, what we even think of as school.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's one thing that we're realizing, like, what our heart is telling us as 51-year-old woman. Like, I am still tuning in and listening to what my heart is telling me. And if we can open the space for those kids to never not know what their heart is telling them, then what in the world? What kind of beautiful place are we about to live in? This is super exciting.
This is why the emotional, social, I'm hesitant to, I guess it's emotional, social learning, but your own internal learning. Social, emotional learning is so crucial in this environment and life, period. I mean, so many of us were raised without emotionally stable parents, and not, they weren't conscious of it. It wasn't in their zeitgeist at the time to be like, oh, we're actually supposed to have hard conversations with our kids and teach them about, their feelings and emotions and how to navigate them and how to communicate them. And so it's just like this whirlwind when we start to feel these things and actually deal with life and express ourselves. And so to be really young, teaching kids how to communicate with each other and solve problems and have hard conversations and express how they feel and take ownership for how they feel and to take ownership for their actions too, and not be victims later in life,
Yeah.
When we were kids, we were taught never talk about religion or politics with anyone. And then now we're in a time where we need to be having conversations about both of those things. Absolutely. And so many people are not capable of having those challenging conversations right now.
They're not. And we're not even allowed to have those conversations in school. And I don't mean that we should be telling people, but that's not about telling people how to think, right? I'm not going to tell you what you should believe, but it's how to think and how to have these conversations, right? We're not even allowed to talk about God in a public school.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not allowed to talk about the thing that created everything in the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the source of all?
Yeah.
And of course, not everyone's going to believe in that and align with that, and that's okay. But one thing that I want to add on to what Angela said was, yes, teaching kids how to have these difficult conversations, but if you enroll your kid in this school, you have to agree that you will join the men and women's program.
Yeah.
It's not an option for parents.
Yeah.
We will, and it's not like we will work together to become, how do I become the best version of a man for myself? How do I become the best version of a woman? And how do we really cultivate this family community dynamic? Because I don't want to get too deep into it right now, but there is definitely a large force that is destroying families.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And let's say one more. I know you want to. Angela and I can talk for hours on any given topic. A friend of mine just, I posted the other day, and I've referenced it a lot lately, but it's true. Name a sitcom in the last 20 years that shows a man that's stable, grounded, loving father, providing for his family,
smart,
takes ownership,
smart,
is
confident,
smart, is fit and healthy.
Yeah. Healthy, mentally healthy. They're all idiots.
They're all a bunch of dad bod dopes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And exactly. They don't get along with their wives. Their wives just roll their eyes about their partners, whatever. And it's just this. It seems, it's funny. Okay, whatever.
It's not funny anymore. It's kind of boring.
It's really driving home the breakdown of what it means to be a solid human being.
Yeah.
Family.
Well, and it's also programming people that's okay. That's normal. That's what a family looks like now.
Yeah, it's normal for total dysfunction in the home. And that's the comical version of it. And that extends to deeply dysfunctional and traumatic and chaotic homes that a lot of kids are experiencing. And I just wanted to touch on what Ethan was saying about God and understanding that a lot of people have a different definition of that.
Yeah.
And can we talk about that? Can we provide an environment where we can talk about multiple religions, multiple possibilities and theories of existence and life and what's happened? How do we get here? Where are we going? Without judgment,
right.
And allowing for kids to cultivate their own understanding without kind of being told it's either this or that, and respecting everyone's different approach and beliefs, but allowing it because no two people are the same, and we are in a world of billions of people.
I came to the other morning, I was having a reaction to something I heard, and I just sat with it for a minute. And then what came to me was, how did you arrive at that conclusion? And I just think that's the best darn question I ever thought of. How did
someone
you
told
arrive?
me what it was, and that's what I'm supposed to believe.
100%. I'm like, okay. And so now, I mean, I'm telling you, like, the skies parted and the angels sang and everything opened up, and I just relaxed. And I'm like, that's my question for the rest of my life. How did you arrive at that conclusion? I'm not mad. I'm not judging you. I'm just asking, how'd you get there?
But so many people don't even get asked that question.
100, but they will now.
Forcing folks to think about the decisions that they've made and why they believe what they believe. You know, most things are just a sound bite or
yeah, that's the heart of it, right? We don't know how to think. And not only do we not know how to think, we don't know how to feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not really taught how to really feel.
Well, and what we feel, if it's not warm and fuzzy, then it's bad and wrong, and something's wrong, and I need to lash out and tell someone to straighten up so they do what I want them to, so that I don't have to feel uncomfortable.
Or tamp it down and not deal with it at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, it always blows my mind how many guys, how many men are scared of their own anger. And like, as a society, I think we're like scared of anger. Anger is just another emotion.
Yes.
Anger is no better or worse than joy.
Yeah.
And it is information. And if we really pull the thread on that and look deeper in that, there's a deeper story and a deeper knowing. Yeah. And it's all telling us something.
Exactly.
These are things not to ignore.
There are other emotions that lay beneath the anger. That's just the thing that gets your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Usually beneath that is fear. I mean,
and for men,
shame.
It's hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if people are curious about School of Life, I know y'all are busy, so you probably don't have a website up yet.
No, there will be soon. There'll be a website by the end of the month, probably by the end of the next couple of weeks for Apogee Lockhart. That is being built. Most of the School of Life information has been through Instagram and through Soham. You know, we have a small community with that now. You know, we're looking at probably somewhere between 12 to 15 kids that will be joining up with that just to start, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's a lot to start with.
Yeah,
I think.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's starting small for us.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll see. That's kind of what it looks like right now. But yeah, Apogee Lockhart will be up very soon.
In the meantime, for more information, you can go to @Soham So Grounded on Instagram.
Correct.
Okay.
Perfect.
And we will soon be posting up at different locations around town to just have conversations with folks and also to hear their perspective on these things. And
Brilliant.
Just to kind of get that ball rolling.
Yeah. So what's the time frame of kicking things off?
The homeschool will be September. The co-op will be September. Apogee Lockhart will open in August of 2025.
Very exciting stuff. What's going to be the deadline for getting involved in the farm school?
That'll be kind of ongoing enrollment. You know, we have some people that are registering already, and we're working through that. If people find out about it in September or October and they're interested in it and they want to join, like we'll have those conversations and keep it open for folks who are interested. So there's no real cutoff for that.
Perfect.
That's what we like to hear.
Thank you.
You know, keep it easy, keep it loose.
That's right. Loosey goosey. I like it. Well, and we're not bound by some ridiculous rules. It's like, oh, you have to do this by this date, or you can't do it at all until next year. Are you literally kidding me? I have a child that I would like to learn. Welcome. Please come.
So when we were at the conference, there was the Southwest Center for Agricultural Health, Injury Prevention, and Education. And so they make these cute little, I don't know, informational card decks. One of them is bites, stings, and venomous things. So we brought these. We were like, these would be fun things for you to have to teach the kids. One of them is Thistle Make You Sick is what the name of it is. But Dion pointed out that thistle does not make you sick, even though it is a nice pun. So these are really fun.
That's
And
great.
if y'all like this stuff, you can just reach out to them and they will send you as many of them as you want.
This is
free.
so
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, I love this.
And then Crystal picked
Oh my
up this
gosh.
cute little coloring book from the USDA table, the Mighty Mini Microbes
And you can
tale.
order those as well.
Many microbes. Come on.
Yes.
See, this is what's so beautiful because we know everything is relationship.
Amazing.
So getting kids familiar with their environment
Yes.
in this way, with the soil,
Yes.
down on the microbial level,
Yeah.
with the plants around them, the animals, the insects. What do they do? What is their purpose? How are they working in this ecosystem? What is their role? And then they get to in turn internalize that
Yes.
and go, what's my role?
Yeah.
How does my body work? How does it function? Where do I fit in this ecosystem? You
Yeah.
know, and this is the best way to learn. So these are so cool.
I just have to mention, because it's like such a major crux of how educational work, but Socratic questioning, which is kind of a lost art form. And it's a very difficult art form, actually. And it's something that we practice a lot. And it's asking questions. And it's like, oh, yeah, we ask questions. It's like, no. Ask a question where you're not leading someone to an answer that you want.
Yeah.
Just try that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That avenue.
Good luck.
Like truly ask a question without trying to have a specific answer in mind for somebody.
Yes. There's so many people, and especially on podcasts, the leading questions that you basically paint them into a corner and they're like, so now I know exactly what you want me to say right now. Got it. Yeah. Open-ended questions, things that make people pause.
It's funny that we're saying this because I literally just told Dion earlier, I just realized I don't ask the questions I don't want to know the answer to. And Dion's like, me too. I'm like, everybody does this. Like, there's questions that you need to ask, but you don't want to know the answer. So you don't ask them. So we are here to ask those questions.
Yeah, I'm one of those weirdos that will always ask the question I don't want to know the answer to.
Yeah.
Just like, I just do it. I just get it over with. Because this is how I see it. When I know the answer, I get to decide what happens next because now I know that information.
Well, and see, I feel like I don't need to know. I am moving in my direction, whatever that question is. Of course, the rest of folks, it's like super total avoidance. Mm-hmm. And so then nothing ever is resolved. But
yeah, and you drill down into that. If schools are all based around asking questions with a very specific answer in mind, how is that not control?
Absolutely. Ding, ding, ding. Well, Angela and Ethan, I love y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you.
We love y'all. Thank you so much. Y'all are doing some amazing work and investigation and detective work and hands-on work. I mean, it's pioneering. And we've been talking about this a lot, how a lot of the things that we're doing, we may never see the full fruits of it.
Absolutely.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Yep.
That's okay. We
Proud to
plant a
be
seed
doing it.
and maybe one day our great grandchildren will be eating the fruit from that tree. And all that matters is that seed is planted and nurtured.
I love it.
Amen.
I love all you guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing what you're doing. And we will be here to support you every step of the way.
Yes.
Connect with the Soil Sisters at txsoilsisters.co. Submit questions, guest or show ideas, and sponsorship inquiries. The Soil Sisters podcast was created and produced by Joanna Nuding. Editing and sound design are in the capable hands of the PodConnects Podcast Network.